Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome to our Revealing Hearts session. We have a special guest today, His Grace Guruprasad Prabhu. He is a disciple of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and he has been practicing Bhakti Yoga since 1975. We would be happy to hear your innermost thoughts and realizations. So thank you for agreeing to participate in our project.
It's my pleasure.
So let's begin.
Sure.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Why do you believe in God?
Okay, that's the question people generally ask. It is obvious to me because when I see around the nature, so beautiful, sceneries, the birds and little insects, and particularly the flowers, I'm always appreciate that. And so I intuitively know there must be some, person behind this. So we call it God.
What evidence have you given yourself that God exists?
I don't think I especially look for evidence because it's kind of intuitive, as I mentioned. But I do know that once I started practicing the Bhakti Yoga process, I have several personal experiences which actually increased my faith in the being, supreme being there.
Can you share this experience?
I can, definitely. So actually, a few of them are actually life-saving experiences. Some happened even before I came to know about ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So I was in a very difficult situation because of a road accident. And how I got out is, for me, it was like a miracle. So I heard from childhood, I've been saying some particular, what we call as slokas. We were taught as youngsters, and actually, I believe that helped me to get through the difficult situation. And again, later on, after coming across this, ISKCON and start practicing this even more, shall I say that even more with understanding. So again, another time also, it happened during winter time, my first winter in Canada. So I was driving a vehicle. I was going to the temple on Sunday morning. It was very slippery. I didn't know about icy conditions. So at one point, I had to make the stop. And then the car actually swerved. It almost made a U-turn completely. Luckily, there was not much traffic. So I was kind of really shaken. But then I managed to get through that. So again, because I was going to attend the morning program in the temple, so I attribute that to grace of the Lord.
Most people in the world, they say they believe in God. What does believing in God means to you?
Believing in God actually means, for me, again, after coming across ISKCON and reading Prabhupada's books, then I understood what is believing God. That means actually it should be something put in action. Mm-hmm. So that, and so one takes to the practice, recommended by great personalities whom we call as acharyas, as well as from the scriptures. Then we see why is that, these things have been practiced for so long. So there is meaning in that. So that actually gives purpose. So everybody is looking for some meaning and purpose in life. I didn't know what it was till I came across Prabhupada's books. So I believe believing in God means actually following His instruction.
Can you clarify which action we can do?
Very simple thing is chanting the Hare Krishna mantra.
Hare Krishna,
We start with chanting Hare Krishna mantra. I mean, when we read the scriptures, I would say even better hear from the devotees talking about it through the Bhagavatam class or Bhagavad Gita class. And it can be augmented by our personal reading, certainly. So when we start follow this process, then we see that there is a lot more meaning in that. So otherwise, we simply tend to waste our time. I personally, it was the case with me, probably with many others too. So unnecessarily, discussing something or really something very trivial. Even political situations, we have so much going on during the even peaceful time, elections, and that they distract our attention, and we really don't get much out of it. Whereas when we read, the incidents as described in Srimad Bhagavatam, and we appreciate how the examples of great personalities, so that inspire us in our lives.
Have there been special moments in your life in which God manifested himself? For example, there was a situation in which you were sure that God was present near you.
I can't claim anything very specially like that, but coming to the temple and attending the program and being in the association of like-minded people, that has certainly inspired me. And I was certainly inspired by Prabhupada's presence, I should say that. So when I was having the opportunity to meet with Srila Prabhupada, I got something very special about Srila Prabhupada.
Have there been moments in your life when you were angry at God and resented him? And if so, how did you overcome this resentment?
Thank Krishna, so far there was not any opportunity for that. I hope that's going to be the case in future too for me.
Have miracles happened in your life?
It's an interesting question. I consider life itself is a miracle. So I don't need personally to be convinced that a miracle is necessary, particularly. But miracles do happen, whether we recognize or not. And actually, very often, some are miracle for, personal level for each person. And I remember what miracle Prabhupada has conducted. In one interview, someone was asking. Of course, it was, when other devotees were all there, particularly Western devotees. And this question was asked when Prabhupada was in India. And Prabhupada simply showed, look at these devotees. That is my miracle. So, which actually, in one sense, that is a miracle. People had absolutely no idea about who Krishna and what, devotional practices are. And we see how quickly they get into it and fully into it. So that actually inspired me too, to see the devotees from other parts of the world, how sincerely they are practicing Krishna consciousness, lifestyle. So certainly, I think I could probably consider it a miracle for me.
How did you come to Krishna consciousness?
Well, I won't say that coming to Krishna consciousness because luckily for me, I grew up actually very near Krishna temple. So Krishna has always been there, from early to my recollection, maybe from the age of 6 or 7. We used to go to the temple because it's very next to our, apartment complex. So we used to go there. So different festivals and all. Of course, I didn't know that. I saw festival people are there. Everybody is in a very good mood. So I like that kind of environment. And slowly, happened to stay there. My family has stayed there till I was about 15. So therefore, of close to 80 years, I have been exposed to different festivals and events, even some katha, Harikatha. I didn't understand much, but they were, of course, chanting. So that was somehow part of my life early on. So I understand better about who is Krishna, what is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and various manifestations, and that He is the source of everything what we can perceive and what we cannot perceive at this stage. So He is the source of everything. So that has given me a tremendous inspiration to continue that I'm doing something really meaningful.
But what about Krishna Consciousness organization?
The Krishna consciousness actually gave me as you mentioned earlier, that what is meant by believing in God, something to follow some practices, and and that we can see the progress is there. So I'm less agitated. I'm more sure about things are happening for a purpose. So I'm not perplexed anymore. And there's no confusion in my life.
Can you tell just how you first time met devotees? Where, what place?
I had seen devotees chanting on the street when I was actually visiting France. We were part of a tour, and it's like a glance of them, but there's no opportunity to find out more about it. But then before I came to Canada, so when I came to Canada, actually someone who became a friend to me, so I happened to meet him through another friend with whom I was staying. When I came to Canada, I was staying with a friend. And so he introduced me another friend. So this person took me around Toronto, where I landed in Toronto. And then he said, is it okay for you to visit a temple? I said, what? Certainly, because I grew up near a temple. And I didn't expect there going to be a temple in Canada at that time. This was in 1974, sometime late in 1970, August time frame, I think so. It was a nice summer day, so he took me around the city. Eventually, late in the evening, he asked me, are you tired or you want to go around a little bit more? I said, I'm not tired, we can go around. Then he took me to temple, and that happens to be ISKCON temple in Toronto, the old one on Gerrard Street. So I've been there later on for a few times, but I really got to know devotees when I came to Montreal for my work and study and work. So I was in Montreal, and during the time I met the devotees, and again I was invited to come to the Sunday program. Luckily I was staying not too far from the temple, so I was able to go more frequently. So I had opportunity to interact with devotees. And in the temple, which was located in the downtown area of Montreal, eventually they found a church building in where currently the temple is on Plain of Boulevard. Then started going there also, and then devotees encouraged me to stay overnight sometime. I said, sure. So on the weekends I used to stay overnight, and I attended the morning program and the japa session, and it all fell in place properly for me. So I said, maybe I should try this out. So I was still bachelor, so therefore that on I spent about a year and a half staying in the temple, at the same time doing my studies and work.
There are a lot of philosophies, religions. Why Krishna consciousness? What attracted you the most?
Yeah, you're right. I've been exposed to various different philosophical thoughts, because within the so-called Hinduism, so many different traditions are there. Even within the, particularly within the Vaishnavas also, there are different traditions are there. So I've been kind of familiar with them. But what Krishna Consciousness added me very clarity. By reading Prabhupada's books, it gave me very clear understanding of how actually things are. That very often people have not a clear understanding of God. Of course, people do believe in God. I think mostly people believe in God, but there is not really something what they can do about it. Perhaps they pray. This prayer and going to places of worship is there in majority of the people around the world. So therefore, it is natural for a human being to feel that there is some supreme. Sometimes they say force or nature, whatever, but we know from Krishna consciousness it is that supreme is a person, and with whom we can have a relationship. That actually is something which I learnt by reading Prabhupada's books. So I'm convinced that this is the path for me.
How Krishna Consciousness has changed your life?
Very positively to begin with, and many things happened also. Many positive things happened. I think it's all by the grace of the Lord. So, particularly even in my workplace, as my career is concerned, many opportunities came unsought to me. I wouldn't have imagined such opportunities. I realized it much later on that actually it's all happened by Krishna's grace. I didn't know at the time things were happening. I was interested in a certain kind of career, and then I didn't know how to go about it. But it eventually happened. So then I realized that it is not because of my effort. I didn't put much effort actually. I desired, that's all. But Krishna actually fulfilled that desire. So I know it is because of Krishna's grace.
And do you have any guesses about your past life?
No, I don't have any. Absolutely not.
If you knew you were going to be reborn, what message would you leave to yourself? Let's imagine that you are going to watch this interview in a new body. What would you say to yourself?
I can't really say much about it, and I hope I don't take another birth. But if I take another birth, I don't think I'm so much worried about what my past life was. So right now, I don't worry about what my past life was. I hope the same thing if I take birth. I don't think I should be worrying about what my past life was, and I should only continue progress where I was left. And that's my my position there.
What would you say, like, for a new person who absolutely know nothing about God, like message, what you would put to say to this person?
About
anyway, the most important thing.
Yeah, the most important thing actually, because the fact is, like Sri Prabhupada says, everybody is looking for, eternal happiness, because everybody is seeking happiness for sure. Whatever efforts are actually to make us happy. And very often we think happiness comes from having position and having position and possession. So, but real happiness is something actually it is there. It is at the level of the soul, the spiritual happiness, because we learn actually, we have the same qualitatively we are same. That Sat Chit Ananda, that is, we are eternal. Talking about we as spirit and cognizant and ever blissful. But we are caught up in the material world. So whatever reason we are here, so therefore we are disturbed by many things happening to us. But when we are situated in this right understanding, I am an eternal soul and have a very meaningful relationship with the Supreme Soul. That actually is a very, very, very important thing to learn. That actually gives both meaning and the purpose, because we are yet to reach that level. So therefore, we have to put our practices and all efforts towards that goal, that to realize our true nature and become happy in relationship with the Lord. Because many people also believe that one can, reach the state of happiness through so-called meditation process and realizing oneself. That is a self-realization, knowing one's true nature as a spirit soul. But then God realization is different from spiritual, self-realization. So God realization includes self-realization. That is my understanding. Whereas self-realization necessarily does not include God realization. Because God is the Supreme Spirit and we are eternally related to Him. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, all these living it is a part and parcel of me. So therefore we are, in a way we can say we are the children of God. So we have the same attributes, but we are not, at the same time we can never be God. God has always existed. So and God is the maintainer. So Prabhupada quotes this from Upanishad that Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadati Kaman. So this Upanishad Vakya, it says that we are the maintained and He is the maintainer. He is the source of everything. So all this knowledge is readily available. So when we read this, actually it makes so much sense. And we know that we have something to achieve in this life. So that's what I want to share with other people. Because this actually satisfied me and it gave me a purpose, what I should do in my life. And people are looking for meaning and purpose, and it has been satisfactory to them. And I can't think of anything better to share with them. I just want you to check it out, what Krishna Consciousness is all about. Please visit the ISKCON center near your, wherever you are. And in Ottawa, it is in 212 Somerset Street East, close to Ottawa University campus. And come and spend some time and be eager to know what's going on. If you inquire, you will get very satisfactory answer. I also want to say, please, at home, you can look through various different websites, particularly krishna.com, howicame.com, dandavats.com. So there are lots of online resources also. But still, I think I would recommend you to come and meet with the devotees and listen to the kirtan which is going on, and you will really be satisfied. My experience and experience of many other devotees. So why don't you give a try? You will never regret that you have given a try. In fact, you will be happy. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for revealing your heart, and thank you for your time.
Thank you too. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Sorry.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, that's fine. You can go ahead.
He is disciple of His Holiness Bhakti Vedanta.
He's doing this. Simply say
I was so
simply say
worried
Srila Prabhupada is fine. Twice I think my voice went a little low. I don't know whether you're able to hear.
Yeah, we will check, but your mics are so close that it's picking up anyway.
Yes. There are a lot of philosophers, different philosophers. How to say philosophies? Philosophies.
Radha Krishna, Radha Krishna, Shyamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai.